Sam Carchidi, Philly.com. The Inquirer joins us now to take a look at the Flyers' very important matchup with the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. Welcome back, Sam. How you been?
Good. How you guys doing today?
Well, we're doing pretty good, but if we get another game like the other night, Monday could be a tough one. If the Flyers come home, or Sunday, I should say, would be a tough one if they come down 2-0, losing the way they did the other night. What'd you see the other night that concerned you, that would make you think that a repeat performance could be in the cards tonight?
Do you have about a half hour? I mean, it was not good. I mean, you really can't take anything positive out of that game. I mean, the Penguins were actually saying they can play better. They were only 1 for 4, I say, because for them that's actually below their norm. They were 1 for 4 in the power play, and they said that they didn't think they moved the puck well on the power play, and they have to get better on that. So, you look at everything. I guess the good news is the Flyers cannot play any worse than they did. They were just schooled in every aspect. They were out-hit. They were out-hustled. They were outshot. The goaltending wasn't even close to compare, and they can't come out that bad. I expect them to be much more competitive tonight. I'd be surprised if they won, to be quite frank. But, to me, it was a worst-case scenario because and the players are all saying, hey, whether it's a 2-1 overtime loss or a 7-0 blowout like that, it doesn't matter. It's still one game. You're still down 1-0. But I totally disagree. I think, it raises all kinds of doubts now whether you can compete with the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. And I really don't think they had those doubts going into the series because even though they were 0-2-2 against the Penguins during the regular season, they actually played really well in Pittsburgh, and they actually dominated the last game in Pittsburgh. They lost 5-4 in overtime in both games, but they got more shots than the Penguins, more scoring chances, and for whatever reason, they came out a little short in the overtime, but they hung right in there, and you can argue they played better than Pittsburgh, especially in the fourth game in Pittsburgh, but you could not say that, of course, for the game on Wednesday. They were just schooled, as I said, and they're going to need 100% improvement tonight just to be competitive.
Sam, what are your thoughts about Hack going back to Brian Elliott again? Because I know from what you wrote, I didn't think that Brian Elliott played that bad a game. I thought the guys in front of him played poorly, but you were there, and I know you've written that there were a couple that he'd probably like back.
Yeah, I think two of them were soft, especially the first one. And the first one was the killer to me because at that point it was, both teams are kind of feeling each other out. The Flyers had some good chances. The Penguins had some good chances. In an innocent-looking shot, he just steered to the right circle instead of clearing it to the side boards. And, the Penguins scored on a long rebound that actually out to the top of the left face-off circle, which you rarely see, a rebound steered that far out, and there's a goal. And so they were playing catch-up the whole game. And, there were 3 goals. You couldn't really fault him. That said, he just looks slow to me. Post-to-post movements aren't there yet, and you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, this is a guy that had surgery probably about 9 weeks ago, and to come back this quickly is amazing. I talked to Claude Giroux about it. Giroux had the same abdominal surgery, and he said, I can't believe he's even back this quick, and because Giroux went through the same surgery. And so give him a lot of credit for coming back. I just think they brought him back too soon. Hopefully he proves me wrong tonight. But, in the 3 games we've seen, he's looked really shaky, I thought. In 2 of them, the Ranger game, we really couldn't tell because the Flyers did such a good job. They kept the shots to the outside, and the Rangers basically played an AHL lineup, and they only had 17 shots. So I should also say that, Hackstall said yesterday that, I stand by everything I said after the game. What he said was that his gut feeling is to go back to Elliott. So, you would assume he's going to go back to him, but that's not 100%. He left a little leeway, so I think it's 99%. But we didn't have a morning skate today, so we really don't know. We'll find out in about an hour who is going to go. But I think you're pretty safe to say Elliott, but he kind of left the door a little bit open for Peter Mrazek.
Does that mean you just said he left the door open for Mrazek? Do you think if Neuvirth was the choice, the option, that he would go to Neuvirth? and doesn't really feel as strongly about Mrazek.
I do. I think they would go to Michael Neuwirth because, Hackstall was here his first year. He saw what Neuwirth did in the playoffs against Washington. That series went 6 games. It had there was no reason for it to go 6 games. The only reason was Michael Neuwirth. He was spectacular when he came in for Steve Mason in that series. And I agree with you. I think that if Nuvi was healthy, they would go to him. Nuvi said he's close, but I don't think he's quite ready. He may be ready for Game 3. And if Elliott plays tonight and if he struggles, Dave Haxtell's going to have an interesting decision because I think they do have a lot more trust in Michael Neuwirth than they do Peter Mrazek. Should also note, though, Peter Mrazek, who looked very shaky with the Flyers, he had 3 really strong games when he got here from Detroit, and then he was very inconsistent. But if you look at his playoff record, it's actually excellent. He had 10 playoff games with Detroit. His goals against 1.88. His save percentage is 931. So, you can argue that he's a big game goalie in the playoffs. So, some interesting choices for Dave Haxtell and his assistant coaches.
Now, Sam, you mentioned there was no morning skate. They did practice yesterday in Pittsburgh, and you guys on the beat always have to play that game of, all right, let's look at the color jerseys. Who's that? Are there any changes? If the practice is any indication, not a single change out of the 12 forwards, does that surprise you?
It really did. It really did, Pete, because, I think, it's different in the playoffs than the regular season. In the regular season, you can wait for guys to blossom, you can wait for guys to respond, but as you know, in the playoffs, you don't have that luxury. So I thought he would change. I thought he would put Travis Konecny back on the first line, move Raffle down to the third line, maybe put Jordan Wheel in because he's been their leading scorer against Pittsburgh during the regular season. I thought they'd put him in on the fourth line, maybe move Lawton to center and bench Laterra. But as you said, during practice, there was no hint of that. And again, he's playing a cat and mouse game with the media, and he said, just because you saw that out there, I'm not sure if I'm going to change my lineup or not. Don't go by what you saw. But, basically what he has done all season, what we've seen the night before or the practice before is what he's gone with. So unless he changes that up, I don't see changes. But, again, he left himself open. So we'll see. And usually we know at the morning skate, but as I said before, they did not have a morning skate today. So, the Penguins did, the Flyers didn't. I think he just wants them to rest and be energized, refreshed for this game. It's not that unusual, I should mention, too, to not have a morning skate during the playoffs. But as a result, we don't really know what the lineup will be tonight until maybe about an hour from now.
Sam Carchidi with us. So also defensively, Robert Haig has been like in the witness protection program, right? I mean, we haven't seen Robert Haig in a bunch of games now, and you see him play the other night, like where Oscar Lindblom gets hit in the mouth and there's no physicality. There's no answer to that. There's no hit back. Haig led the team in hits.
Yeah. I wrote I would put him in too because, if worse comes to worse, at least you're giving a young rookie some experience. I thought Haig, for the most part of the season, he tailed off maybe for a 2-week period, but for the most part of the season, he's been solid. So I really don't get that. And the Manning-Gudas pairing has struggled, especially in the last, I'd say, 6 weeks. And, to me, if you get Haig in there, he can't do any worse. And let's give him some experience. And as you mentioned, a good point, he gives him the physicality, which was missing in Game 1. The Penguins had too many opportunities right at the doorstep. And, both Elliott and Mrazek were really hung out to dry on a lot of those goals.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN with Sam Carchidi, Philly.com, the Inquirer, at Broad Street Bull on Twitter for tonight's Flyers and Pens game. Game number 2, 7 o'clock, right here on 97.3. He appeared via the Boardwalk on the hotline. Sam, thank you so much.
I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the game tonight.